Welcome back to the garage, guys. I'm Damian. This is the Binder Builder. Welcome to recap video number 2. This is where I take several of my long format videos and condense them all down into one much shorter video. If you're interested in seeing any of those videos, I'll be linking them in the description. So while you hit that like button, let's get started. Back when I started this build, I had some pretty big plans, and I thought that my next step was to clean up and paint the interior so I could put everything all back together again and start driving it. Plans have changed, and while the first recap video covered the introduction, the teardown and purchase of the Bug, this one picks up where that left off, where I'm actually tearing out the rest of the interior, cleaning everything up, and starting the paint work. After Bella and I tore out the old stuff, I started really stripping out the leftovers. Slowly but surely, all the sound deadening and padding and leftover vinyl and crap, along with the glue that held it on, was stripped thanks to my wire wheel. Once I was down to, and in some places beyond the paint, I got out the self-etching primer and started putting a base coat on the interior panels. I even cleaned the dash up a ton, wire wheeling, cleaning, and priming it along with the footwell. But if you've noticed, I did run into an issue, and the key one was lighting. Obviously I've got nice lights in here, it works really well, but when you actually get inside the car, you see how dark it is in there? So what I did is I went down to Harbor Freight and picked up, in reality, that's pretty nice. That's really nice. Well, it's not a super cool Saber light you see at some of the big shops. It definitely did the trick, and work moved along. After a lot of priming and sanding and priming again, I moved to filler primer to help get that nice finish, secretly hoping that the Bug wouldn't look too much like it was painted with a rattle can. As I sanded, I noticed there were some ripples through the various layers of paint, meaning the interior wasn't exactly flat or smooth. While this didn't bother me too much initially, I kept going and eventually laid down some color. I'm using Rust-Oleum Orange. That's orange as can be. Let's see if I can get some good reflections. There we go. It's gonna have some peel. Spray paint, man. Anyway. So to rewind the clock a bit, a big goal of mine was to build this Bug on the cheap. I've since found that cheap is a relative term. But still, if you remember from my intro video, I wanted a rugged but refined look. And when I first sprayed the orange on the interior, I got a hankering to see just how good I could do with the rattle can. So while I was waiting for some parts for the build, I decided to take some time and really go for it. And with that I mean, I was really going to try to get a nice interior paint job with spray paint. To practice a little, I pulled off the glove box door. The goal, to see how good I could paint it. And frankly, this became quite an endeavor. After sanding it, I threw down some primer. After that, I put some color on it. Initially, it came out great. I was super pleased. But when I turned it over to paint the back, I marred up the front, which hadn't fully cured. So I sanded it off and repainted. This is where my troubles began. As seen in my long format video, the second layer didn't stick to the first the way it was supposed to. So I broke out the acetone and cleaned it off to start again. While the second attempt went well, after everything dried, there ended up being some bits and blemishes in the paint. So I sanded it again to try again. But then this happened. I literally watched a new layer of paint peel up as the glove box door soundly rejected my painting efforts. Finally, I stopped playing around with it. I became super careful with prep, wore gloves, cleaned with only acetone and/or alcohol. I even used a tack cloth and really took my time laying down the paint. Finally, the result I wanted. Dang near mirror-like. That's when I turned my attention to the rest of the Bug. I tore everything out, all the plastic bits, and the dash bits. I even removed the windshield. Then I cleaned, sanded, and laid down the first layer of self-etching primer. After sanding the dash, I sanded off the previous layer I did in the back. And slowly and methodically worked my way around the bug, putting down layer after layer of filler primer, hoping to get a real nice base for color. I can't remember how many times I worked around the entire bug, but after many layers of self-etching and filler primer, and after having sanded them all down with progressively finer and finer sandpaper, things were starting to look good. I even began wiping things down with soapy water, and since acetone eats the paint, I started using alcohol to keep a dirt and oil-free surface. Finally, I was getting close to actually laying some color. But first, I'm going to be using bright orange. It's not really bright orange, it's just straight Rust-Oleum orange for the interior and the exterior color. And in order to make this color really pop, it's best that you don't use a dark primer. So, Rust-Oleum has a regular primer, it's light gray. This will make this orange color pop a lot more because having a light base and this over the top, it just seems to radiate, for lack of a better word. It just seems not to suck the color in like the dark primer does. And then when I was at Harbor Freight, I noticed that they had their own self-etching primer, and it is a slightly lighter color than the Rust-Oleum. So I'm going to try this stuff on the inside, see what happens. With some final few layers of primer sprayed and some fine sanding, I vacuumed up any leftover dust. I used soapy water to clean the surface, followed by another alcohol wipe, and things finally looked ready for color. The first layer was super light. My goal was to create a light tacky layer, but I also wanted to make sure that the surface wouldn't reject the color like the glove box store did. With that success, I threw down 3 thick layers of paint, making sure each layer went down smooth and even. After quite a bit of painting, you can really tell something in the garage was painted orange. Holy cow, does this stuff travel. It's everywhere. All right, let's take a look here. It's been sitting for about an hour, so it is still curing up. Oh, yeah, I'll be honest, I am very pleased with that reflection. Oh my gosh, that's just very nice, very nice. All right, now that I'm inside, that actually came out really nice. Oh, thank goodness, man. You have no idea. I was stressing. I was really stressing. A little bit of orange peel in there. Very nice. Okay, cool. Good off the back. With the other side. Oh yeah. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I gotta sweep all the Didn't focus on the dash because it's going to be covered by a dash pad. But if not, it's nice to, it's definitely got some gloss to her now. That makes me happy. Holy crap, I cannot even tell you. Man, oh, so worried that I couldn't get a decent shine with spray paint. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, I like it. Dang. Okay, cool. Very happy. For the record, again, here's my supplies. I use Harbor Freight sandpaper along with some sanding blocks made from their foam floor mats. I use Rust-Oleum paint, including the self-etching primer, the filler primer, and the regular orange. I also used some Harbor Freight self-etching primer. The acetone came from Home Depot. The isopropyl alcohol came from Walgreens. And the final wipe was with the tack cloths I got from my local auto parts store. By this count, it took 6 to 7 cans of paint to do the interior, not including primer. There was way more primer used, maybe like 2 times more. Anyway guys, that wraps up this video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you're looking at doing something similar to your project, I would say go for it. It cost me under $200 in materials. It did take a lot of time, but the big thing is the results, I think, are amazing. Anyway, please like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Damian, and this is the Binder Builder.